I've recently thought more about this conflicting thought where human beings' aim on this planet should be to discover purpose and meaning and truth, or seek truth and our understanding of it. But instead, we rather seek attention and recognition and power. We are very social animals, and we always thrive in social environments, so we do everything to, foster these social environments that actually empower us. And I think there's nothing wrong with that, but at the same time, we can easily fall into traps and ideologies that seem right at first glance, but then turn out to be quite wrong. And because we are so very social, we are always eager to discover the intentions of our fellow humans and evaluate whether there's a threat or something else. It's basically the only function of our brain as well, to help us differentiate between friend or foe, safety or danger, and likeness or hatred. And let me tell you, the brain only takes very small steps. It can only think of, A to B, basically, in chronological order. What am I going to do next? Okay, I gotta think of packing in my headphones, and then also my ropes for the gym later or something, Of course, we only also project like something into the future, 10 years in the future, or, oh shit, 15 years ago I was in the classroom and that was so embarrassing, this one moment, and then you can't sleep because of it. I'm aware, fully aware of it. But when it comes to the present, we are very limited in our possibility of grasping everything, Our attention shifts from thing to thing without really being super aware of it, What we look at, what we focus on, is actually what's most important in the room or in your environment. And it can vary on our perception and our mood and everything else that's going on in the moment, or happened a week ago or a month ago, and so on. We are incredibly biased, naturally. So it's important to slow down your thinking from time to time to become a better judge of the situation, Especially when there's no apparent benefit in judging a situation quickly, or someone else, even worse. And regarding the focus thing, that's a fun fact I just thought of. Our ancestors were apes, pretty much, and they had fur all over, and they had different eyes. We have a lot of white in our eyes, and then the pupils to better recognize where our fellow human beings are looking, so we can assess the situation more clearly. If I would be looking up there the whole time, you would think like, what the fuck is up there, And we don't have fur in our face anymore, a little still, so that we can actually like grasp what's going on with like his mimic, his gestures and his facial expressions. So yeah, to activate the rational part of the brain, it helps to look at one situation as a third neutral person, because that reduces like judgment and bias and anxiety as well. It's so helpful to there from time to time also to assess like relationships or working situations, or like, I don't know, the reality is neutral, and we just perceive some things as like, oh shit, the internet is coming after me and it's always wanting to get to me, and no, it's just your perception and your attitude towards that thing that's like making you believe that. And so recently I listened to Peter Attia on Modern Wisdom, and he was talking with a therapist about his like anger issues basically, and feeling lost and like destructive thoughts and self-talk. And he described himself as a prick. 30 years ago he was a complete prick. He was an asshole, basically. And sometimes these old patterns come up. And so his therapist was like, hey, next time you feel these destructive thoughts or talking down on yourself, send me a voice message in which you act like you would find encouraging words, not for yourself, but for a friend. Or you would like, this thing that made you angry happened to a friend. And he took the example of bow shooting. So he was training with, sorry, I'm gonna close the window real quick. So he was training with a friend, he assumed it, and the friend didn't hit one target, although he was training for 3-4 months. And it was just a horrible day overall, and that happened to him basically. And so he started to like be, what the fuck am I doing? Like, this can't be, like, am I really this bad? And fuck this shit, I'm going to quit altogether. And then he personally attacked himself, you know, his character as a whole. And so he decided, well, this is stupid, but, well, my therapist told me to do it, why not do it? Like, he was like, it could be the same with like, okay, I now want to gain muscle and go to the gym, and so I'm going to gain muscle and go to the gym, you know? He was like, I can't just block out my inner voice. It's just naturally there. And he tried it, and he was like, okay, dude, look, this was a bad day, but there's one in like 30s, or like 1 in 30, and the other 29 are great, and you are doing better every day. With each training you improve, basically. So this is just one coincidence, you know. Let's just pack our stuff, go home together and have a drink, you know, chill, and read something or some, you know, just like kind words, encouraging words. And yeah, he was so surprised of the revolutionary effect it had in his life, because after 3-4 months he didn't do it anymore. He didn't send the voice memos, and he never did from that moment on. But the inner voice, the destructive thoughts, the talking down on yourself was gone. It was just completely gone. And that's insane to me. And yeah, it just like underlines the point of how important it is to take a step back and assess the situation as a neutral person who's not like directly involved in what's going on. And the feedback from friends can be just as helpful. One should specifically ask for honesty when it comes to feedback, and, well, should aim to highlight strengths and weaknesses while decreasing the importance of, or the importance placed on whether it's encouraging or unsettling. You know, if you would do that, you would only get critics and cheerleaders, and that's not really helpful. You want constructive help, basically. You want a coach who gives you tips. And then you ask, well, what could I do better next time? And this way, the ego is not really attacked, and one can actually improve in the process. There are 2 scores, which is first what you directly receive, and then second, how well you take it. And usually you are pretty certain of your opinions and worldviews. You react more harshly if you're attacked for it. That's just like, it makes sense, you know. If you're a bodybuilder, you will seldom take critique willingly because you think you know what you're doing, especially if you've been doing it for 10 years. But that's a huge problem, because if you're living in a bubble of like self-affirmation all the time, experts have the same issue. You know, if you're an expert in a certain field and you think you have figured it all out because you've been so long in that field, you're closed up from different perspectives and views that like a teenager in the garage might paint on like a white wall, you know. He's like in his, I don't know, LSD trip, you know, maybe painting something on the wall, and it's like, oh shit, I got the enlightenment now. And this would never happen to the expert because he thinks he knows the structure of things and how it's supposed to go. And yeah, people always strive to maintain control and make their own decisions. And there's this experiment with like buttons that light up red 80% of the time and 20% of the time blue. And then there were mice and people, and the mice would get food if they correctly predicted the light that was going on the button. And the humans had a worse prediction of the lights, although it's always 80-20. But they try to predict the blue light going on the button sometimes. So their actual percentage of picking the right light was 67%, while the reds strictly went for red. They always pressed red. So they had an 80% accuracy. So yeah, it's just like, even if AI is getting so incredibly good, even if artificial intelligence provides a path with 100% accuracy, you can be sure that humans will try to modify it, just because they can't accept an automatic system running in some way. Like, why do you think ETFs, like investment funds, they probably have the best like return on investment that you can think of for the average investor, and still people pick out individual stocks trying to outperform the market and then losing money in consequence, you know? In 1950 study, there was a referee that, well, they did a study on referee decisions. Yeah, that's what it was like. And there were two teams, of course, playing against each other, and there was an objectively wrong or rightful decree by the referee if the foul was committed or not. And then immediately, you can see it all the time in sports, two teams formed based on, well, no, this was clearly not a foul, or yes, this was obviously a foul, you know? It's just because, like, there's an allegiance to the team, and your testosterone level go up if there's something happening on the pitch, even though you're not really involved, but you're so strongly behind the team and their views and everything it stands for that it automatically changes your nervous system, and you can't objectively differentiate between right or wrong, even though there was an objective foul or not. The victory or defeat of a beloved team is so close to you that you simply think differently and act differently accordingly. That's insane to me. And that happens all the time on social media as well. We deliberately overlook certain things because our subconscious decides that it would not be advantageous for our understanding of the world. In such situations, it's important to find out the other person's motives. You could ask them to explain their thinking, or what could make you change your mind? What would I need to demonstrate for you to change it? There are beliefs that we hold on to so tightly and that are incredibly difficult to shake. And we try everything to reduce uncertainty and bolster our opinion. As long as we are not aware of the echo chambers we are in, it's clear that we will always fall for attractive ideas. Even the most intelligent persons can form an idea with a conclusion in mind and then basically cherry pick the arguments that lead to that conclusion. That's also why they are more likely to join cults, you know, because they think they have eaten enlightenment with a spoon and the rest of the world just doesn't get it. I am the one who understands what's going on, actually, you know, and so I need to find like-minded people, and those are often cult members then in that specific scenarios. So yeah, as long as we are not aware of these echo chambers and everyone is in them, we will always fall for these ideas, you know. A political candidate may indeed convey positive and reaffirming and correct information, but it's also important to be aware that conspiracies are always exciting and stir up emotion. And I see it nowadays a lot of the times that they always cause more chaos as well. If some conspiracies then turn out to be true, which happens a lot of the time actually, one feels even more reinforced in one's views and falls for the illusion of future truth and that everything else may be true as well. But trusted institutions are needed, and approaching every matter with the bias that everyone lies is not the right approach either. Listen, I think we can clearly see that the media, the public media channels and the news channels are pretty much garbage, like altogether, and you can find more truth in podcasts and certain YouTube videos, no denying, but you have to be aware that even when relying increasingly on podcasts and social media and public appearances, they seldom provide objective insights as well, because they have an audience to nurture. And with the information they are followed for in the first place by that audience, you know. And even if a podcast guest has someone like scientific there, you can be pretty sure that, and that hurts to say because science should only seek truth and place hypotheses and then prove them wrong, but even with COVID, like it was all over the place. No one had any idea what was going on. And humans are not really rational creatures, you know. We try to be, and scientists are probably more likely to be rational. But still, if you're working on a project for all your time and you think you have the knowledge to spread it confidently into the world, it still may be the case that you don't have it. Okay, and taking COVID again, we had to act fast, of course, because we didn't know how deadly it would be and everything. But as it turns out, there was some pretty dark shit going on behind the scenes, you know, and people lying before Congress and no, we didn't do it, but yeah, actually the data was flawed and the statistics were wrong and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, you can see it a lot of time, like the Epstein list, who visited the island, the Twitter fights, like suppressing speech and the algorithms fucking with each other and selecting political candidates based on like what's favorable for the United States. Favorable. Yeah, there's a lot of shit going on. No denying, of course. And I'm also pretty much anti-institutions, but I'm also aware that there has to be some core that we can rely on, you know? And the thing is, absolute freedom of opinion should not really prevail, as people who incite hatred and spread misinformation perpetuate these illusions and conspiracies. And when things go wrong, every solution seems attractive, and one always wants to be better than others. So we turn to the attractive ideas that seem mysterious or could like shake the earth, you know. But sometimes it's just random. A lot of shit that happened 40 years ago now influences the present that we had no idea how we could even do that, you know. But some people 40 years ago were so greedy for power that they did some stupid decisions that still have their mark or left their mark today or in the future. Who knows? Who knows? You have to be aware that there are different communities and cults that form around personalities and thereby act very passionately. I guess I just want to say that we have to question everything nowadays, okay? Especially our own thoughts and ourselves. You can't even trust your intuition anymore, you know? You don't really know what's best for you in that moment. Even like looking for a partner, you often say, hey, just listen to your heart or your gut. I think we should listen to all of the things, also your brain, probably. You know, you should probably make a list. Okay, what do I seek and what does this person provide? And is there like a commonality we can work upon? Am I thinking too reductionalist? You know, just because the person listens to the same music as you do doesn't mean like it's gonna work out, you know? And the same way we didn't receive love from our father or our mother was too occupied with work, then we seek like what has been lacking in our family affairs in the partner. Like that's your intuition talking, you know, like seeking the comfort and the reassurance. And that's not like a logical thought because you blend out everything that's in the dark, all the red flags and everything, you know. So yeah, just try to take it all in, take a step back, consult with friends what they think, friends that really know you as a person and want the best for you, and then listen to your whole body, you know, and give yourself time and patience. These are virtues that are so crucial to navigate this life because it has gotten so chaotic. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time.